Let me ask you something, and I need you to be really honest with yourself right now. Have you ever walked into a room full of people and felt completely invisible, like no one noticed you came in? No one turned their head. No one smiled at you. You just existed in the background. Maybe you stood near the wall pretending to check your phone, secretly hoping someone, anyone, would come talk to you first. And the whole time, that little voice in your head kept whispering, "You don't belong here. You're not one of them." Yeah, I've been there too, more times than I'd like to admit. Or maybe it's the opposite for you. Maybe you're the one who talks too much when you're nervous. You laugh a little too loud, try a little too hard to be funny, and then drive home replaying every single awkward thing you said. You lie in bed at 2 a.m. thinking, "Why did I say that? They probably think I'm so weird. I totally messed that up." Does that sound familiar? Has that ever happened to you? Because if it has, honestly, you're not alone, not even close. Here's the thing no one tells you when you're growing up. Being smart isn't enough. Working hard isn't enough. Having talent, a degree, or even a genuinely good heart, none of it is enough on its own. Because the people who actually succeed in life, the ones who build deep friendships, get promoted, attract love, create opportunities seemingly out of thin air, they all share one thing in common, and it's not luck. It's not money. It's not even talent. It's social intelligence. They know how to walk into a room and make people feel something. They know how to listen so deeply that others feel truly seen, sometimes for the first time in years. They know how to speak with this quiet, grounded confidence that makes everyone lean in, not because they're the loudest voice, but because their words carry real weight. And here's what really gets me. Most of them weren't born this way. They weren't the popular kid in school. They weren't naturally charismatic. They learned these skills, step by step, choice by choice, exactly the way you can. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking right now. That sounds great, but I've always been the awkward one. I'm an introvert. I literally don't know how to make small talk. I'm just not that person. I hear you, and I want you to know something important. This isn't about becoming someone you're not. This isn't about manipulation or learning to put on a fake smile. This is about becoming the most authentic, most magnetic version of who you already are. The version that's been hiding behind years of self-doubt and fear of judgment. Throughout this journey together, we're going to break it all down. You'll discover how to build the kind of self-confidence that doesn't need anyone's approval to stand tall. How to read people like an open book, their body language, their hidden emotions, the things they're desperately not saying out loud. You'll learn how to make first impressions so powerful that people remember you for years. How to speak so others actually stop and listen. How to handle criticism without falling apart inside. How to influence people, not through tricks or games, but through genuine trust and real human care. And here's my promise to you. If you stay with me through this entire journey, you won't just learn these skills. You'll feel genuinely different. You'll walk differently. You'll talk differently. You'll show up in rooms and wonder why people are suddenly drawn to you like magnets. Because they will be. Not because you changed who you are, but because you finally stopped hiding who you've always been. Ready? Let's begin. And one more thing before we dive in. As you go through each chapter, I want you to do more than just listen passively. I want you to feel these ideas. Let them land. Ask yourself the hard questions. Challenge yourself to actually implement what resonates. Not tomorrow, not next week, but today. Because knowledge without action is just entertainment. And you didn't come here to be entertained. You came here to be transformed. This is your blueprint, your roadmap, your invitation to step into the version of yourself that's been waiting to emerge. Every chapter builds on the last, taking you from inner confidence all the way to becoming the kind of person who naturally attracts opportunities, relationships, and respect. So, settle in, open your mind, and let's build something extraordinary together. Before we dive into the first chapter, I want to set one expectation. This isn't going to be theory. This isn't going to be abstract advice that sounds nice, but doesn't change anything. Every principle, every technique, every insight in this blueprint is designed to be immediately actionable. You can start using these ideas today. In your next conversation, your next meeting, your next interaction with a stranger or a loved one, the gap between who you are now and who you could be isn't as wide as you think. Sometimes it's just one conversation, one mindset shift, one brave choice away. Chapter 1. Build unshakable self-confidence. First, before you can win others over, you must first win yourself over. That's the foundation of everything we're going to talk about. Social intelligence doesn't start with reading other people or learning to influence them. It begins much closer to home, with the relationship you have with yourself. Think about it for a moment. Have you ever been around someone who was clearly nervous, visibly insecure, second-guessing every single word that came out of their mouth? You probably felt their energy, right? Maybe you even felt a little uncomfortable yourself, like their anxiety was contagious. That's because people don't just listen to your words. They sense who you are underneath them. They feel your energy before they process your sentences. And here's the uncomfortable truth. If you don't believe in yourself, no one else will either. It doesn't matter how smart your ideas are or how right your opinions may be. Without that inner foundation of self-belief, everything you say loses its power. Now, let me be clear about something. Confidence isn't about being the loudest person in the room. It's not about puffing out your chest or faking some big, bold personality that isn't you. Real confidence is something quieter than that. It's carrying yourself with a sense of calm certainty. It's knowing your value so deeply that you don't need to prove it to anyone. True confidence doesn't scream, it whispers. And somehow that whisper is louder than any shout. It shows up in your posture, the way you hold your shoulders. It's in your tone of voice, steady, warm, unhurried. It's even in the way you look someone in the eye without flinching or looking away. It's magnetic, and people can't help but respond to it. But here's the thing that changed everything for me, and I hope it changes something for you too. Unshakable confidence isn't something you're born with. I used to think some people just came out of the womb confident, like it was wired into their DNA. But it's not. Confidence is built, brick by brick, through action. And here's the trap most people fall into. The fastest way to destroy your confidence is to sit on the sidelines, waiting until you feel ready. I'm going to let you in on a secret. You will never feel ready. Not fully, not completely. That perfect moment of readiness, it doesn't exist. It's a lie your fear tells you to keep you stuck. The magic happens the moment you take action, no matter how small. You start teaching your brain a new story. I can do this. Each step forward, no matter how tiny, becomes proof that you're capable. And proof is what builds real belief, not affirmations, not visualization. Actual proof from actual action. Has that ever happened to you? Where you finally did something you were terrified of, and afterward you thought, wait, that wasn't as bad as I imagined. That's what I'm talking about. That's confidence being born. Start with the basics. Take care of your body, because how you treat yourself sets the tone for how others will treat you. Stand tall when you walk into a room, even if your knees are shaking underneath. Speak clearly, even if your voice trembles a little. And most importantly, this one is huge. Keep the promises you make to yourself. If you say you're going to wake up early, wake up early. If you say you're going to work out, work out. If you say you're going to finish that project, finish it. Every single time you follow through on a promise to yourself, you send a powerful internal message. I can trust me. That inner trust is the bedrock of unshakable confidence. Without it, you're building on sand. And remember this, confidence grows fastest when you face discomfort instead of running from it. If something scares you, like striking up a conversation with a stranger, speaking up in a meeting, or putting your work out into the world, that fear is a signal. But it's not a signal to back away. It's a signal to lean in. Fear is like a muscle. The more you challenge it, the weaker it gets, and the stronger you become. Before long, the situations that once made your palms sweat and your heart race will feel almost effortless. Here's a truth that most people miss entirely. Confidence isn't the absence of fear. Read that again. It's not about being fearless. It's about making the decision to act despite the fear. Everyone feels nervous sometimes. Even the most charismatic, successful people you admire. The difference is they've trained themselves to move forward anyway. And each time they do, they expand what they believe is possible for themselves. Their world gets bigger. Their comfort zone stretches. Can you imagine what that would feel like? Walking into any situation, a job interview, a first date, a room full of strangers, and feeling genuinely at ease. Not because the fear is gone, but because you've proven to yourself again and again that you can handle whatever comes. When you build this kind of unshakable self-confidence, everything else we'll talk about becomes so much easier. Your body language naturally improves because you're not shrinking anymore. Your conversations flow more smoothly because you're not overthinking every word. People are drawn to you without you having to chase their approval because they sense something solid inside you. So start here. Invest in yourself first. Keep your promises. Face your fears. Take action before you feel ready. Because the stronger you are on the inside, the more magnetic and influential you'll be on the outside. This is the first step to becoming truly charismatic. And honestly, it's the most important one. Chapter 2. Understand people like an open book. If you want to genuinely connect with others, influence them, and build relationships that actually mean something, you must first learn to understand them, and I mean really understand them. Not just hear their words, but feel what's underneath. Most people walk through life almost entirely focused on themselves, how they look, what they're going to say next, whether they're being judged. And because of that constant self-focus, they miss the endless signals that other people are giving off every single moment. The truth is, every person you meet is communicating something, even when their mouth is completely shut, even when they're sitting in total silence. If you learn to read those signals, it's like suddenly having access to a secret language that most people don't even know exists. You stop guessing what someone feels or thinks. You start knowing, and that knowledge changes everything. Think of social interactions like a chess game. Most people are only focused on their own next move. They're thinking about what they'll say, how they'll respond, what impression they're making. But the person who can see the whole board, who can sense what others are feeling and anticipate how they'll react, that person always has the advantage, not to exploit anyone, but to connect more deeply. Here's the beautiful part. When people feel genuinely understood, they automatically feel connected to you. It's almost like a reflex. You don't have to work hard to earn their trust. You earn it simply by seeing them. Has that ever happened to you? Someone really listened to you, not just waited for their turn to talk, but actually heard you. And you suddenly felt this wave of warmth toward them, like, this person gets me. That's the power of understanding others. And you can learn to give that gift to every person you meet. The first step is surprisingly simple. Observe more than you speak. I know that sounds basic, but think about how rare it actually is. Most of us are so busy rehearsing our next sentence in our heads that we completely miss what's happening right in front of our faces. The next time you're in a conversation, pause for a moment. Just watch. Notice how the other person's body shifts as they talk. Do their shoulders tense up when they mention a certain topic? Do their eyes light up when they talk about something they love? Do they lean forward with excitement or pull back with discomfort? These are clues, real, honest clues about what truly matters to them. You don't need to be a mind reader. You just need to actually pay attention, which honestly already puts you ahead of about 90% of people out there. Body language is a powerful window into someone's inner world. A clenched jaw can reveal frustration they're not voicing. A genuine smile reaches the eyes, not just the mouth. Crossed arms might signal defensiveness, but they might also just mean someone's cold. This is important. Context is everything. You never rely on a single signal. You look for patterns. When a person's words match their body language, they're being authentic. When they don't match, that's your signal to dig deeper. Gently, always gently. But understanding people isn't only about reading what's visible on the surface. It goes much deeper than that. It's about listening to the emotions beneath their words. When someone complains about their job, they might really be expressing a deep fear of not being valued. When someone constantly brags about their accomplishments, they might be masking a painful insecurity. Human beings are layered, beautifully, messily layered. The deeper you're willing to look, the clearer their true feelings become. One incredibly simple way to do this: ask gentle, open-ended questions, and then actually listen without interrupting. Don't plan your response while they're still talking. Just be present with them. Most people aren't used to being truly heard. So when you give them that rare gift, they'll reveal far more than they ever intended. Not because you tricked them, but because you made them feel safe enough to be real. Here's something I want you to really sit with. People are absolutely craving to be seen and heard. It's one of the deepest human needs we have. When you encounter someone who feels invisible in their own life, maybe they're overlooked at work, maybe they feel unheard at home, and you make them feel genuinely understood, you create a bond almost instantly. This is why certain people seem naturally charismatic. They've trained themselves to focus outward, on others, not just themselves. They give people the experience of feeling valued. And that experience? It's unforgettable. Do you do that for the people in your life? Or do you catch yourself waiting for your turn to speak? Another key skill is empathy, the ability to genuinely step into someone else's perspective. You don't have to agree with them. You don't even have to like them. But when you try to see the world through their eyes, even for just a moment, you gain insights that most people completely miss. If a coworker snaps at you instead of firing back, pause and consider what stress they might be carrying. Maybe they're overwhelmed. Maybe something happened at home. That understanding allows you to respond with grace instead of pouring gasoline on the fire. Of course, there's a balance here. Understanding people doesn't mean letting yourself be walked on or manipulated. It's about awareness. When you can accurately read a room, you protect yourself from people who might have hidden agendas. You see past the masks people wear, which helps you make wiser decisions about who to trust and who to keep at arm's length. Social intelligence is both a bridge for connection and a shield for self-protection. And here's what's really interesting. The better you understand people, the better you understand yourself. When you start paying attention to the emotions and patterns in others, you naturally become more aware of your own. You notice your own triggers, your own defense mechanisms, your own patterns of behavior. Self-awareness and social awareness grow together. They're two sides of the same coin. The person who truly understands others has usually done the deep work of understanding themselves first. So, let me ask you, when was the last time you really paid attention to someone, not just their words, but their whole presence, their energy, their body language, the emotion underneath their sentences? Try it today. In your very next interaction, stop focusing on yourself and turn your full attention outward. You'll be amazed at what you notice. Things that have been right in front of you this whole time, hiding in plain sight. To truly understand others, you must also be willing to set aside your own judgment, at least temporarily. Everyone has a story, and most of the time, their behavior has far more to do with their own internal battles than it does with you personally. When you approach people with curiosity instead of criticism, you don't just learn more about them. You grow as a person yourself. Imagine walking into any room and instantly sensing the emotional landscape. You notice who's genuinely confident and who's faking it. You pick up on who's uncomfortable, who's excited, who's hiding something. You catch the subtle shifts in energy that everyone else misses, and you adjust your approach accordingly, with warmth and wisdom. This isn't some supernatural ability. It's the result of paying attention, practicing empathy, and learning the unspoken rules of human behavior. When you develop this skill, your relationships transform completely. You stop feeling like an outsider and start feeling like someone who belongs wherever you go. So make it your mission to become a student of human nature. Watch, listen, learn. The better you understand others, the easier it becomes to connect, influence, and inspire. And it all starts with one simple choice: seeing people clearly and letting them know you see them. Chapter 3. Master the Power of First Impressions. You've heard the saying before, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. And as cliché as it sounds, it's absolutely true. Whether you're meeting someone for the first time at a job interview, a networking event, a party, or even a casual coffee shop encounter, those first few seconds set the entire tone for how they'll perceive you. And the research on this is kind of wild. People form opinions in less than 7 seconds, sometimes even faster. That means before you even open your mouth and say a single word, they've already started deciding whether you seem confident, trustworthy, approachable, and worth listening to. Crazy, right? But here's the good news, and I really want you to hear this. You can control that moment. You don't have to leave your first impression to chance. You can actually design it intentionally. Here's the secret most people completely overlook. A great first impression isn't about being perfect. It's not about having the wittiest opening line or wearing the most expensive outfit. It's about being intentional. It's about sending clear, authentic signals through your appearance, your body language, and your energy. Think of yourself as a walking message. Before you open your mouth, your posture, your facial expression, and even the way you enter a room are all telling a story. The only question is, what story are you telling right now? The first element of a truly powerful first impression is presence. And by presence, I mean that subtle magnetic quality that makes people notice you. Not because you're being flashy or loud, but because you're fully in the moment. Most people walk into rooms completely distracted. They're thinking about their phone, their to-do list, that text they need to send. You can stand out instantly just by doing the opposite. Stand tall, shoulders back, head up. Take a deep breath. Move with calm, unhurried confidence. This simple shift in how you carry yourself sends a clear signal to everyone watching. This person is worth paying attention to. Have you ever noticed someone walk into a room and felt your eyes just naturally follow them? What was it about them? I bet it wasn't anything flashy. It was probably just the way they moved, like they belonged there, like they were comfortable in their own skin. That's presence, and you can cultivate it. Now, let's be honest about appearance. Like it or not, people will make judgments based on how you present yourself visually. This doesn't mean you need designer clothes or model's face. It simply means you take some pride in how you show up. Clean, well-fitting clothes, basic grooming, a touch of personal style that feels like you, not a costume, but an authentic expression. When you look like you respect yourself, others are naturally more inclined to respect you too. Think of it as visual communication. Your appearance is already speaking before you get the chance to. Now, the moment of actual interaction. Your first words matter, sure, but your body language matters even more. Start with your smile. And I mean a real one, not that tight, nervous, forced thing most people do when they're uncomfortable. A genuine smile creates warmth and trust almost instantly. Combine that with steady, warm eye contact, not staring someone down, but looking at them as though they genuinely matter to you. Because they do. Your handshake, if the situation calls for one, should be firm, but not crushing. These might seem like small physical details, but together they form the unspoken foundation of connection. People process all of this subconsciously in those first few seconds. Here's a powerful little trick that works like magic. Use people's names. When you meet someone, repeat their name back naturally in the conversation. Great to meet you, Sarah. It's so simple, but it instantly makes the interaction feel more personal and real. It signals that you're paying attention. And here's a little secret about human psychology. People absolutely love the sound of their own name. It's one of the sweetest sounds in any language. Another crucial element of making a strong first impression is your energy. People can literally feel your vibe before you ever speak a word. If you're carrying anxiety, stress, or negativity, they'll sense it, even if you're smiling on the outside. But if you walk in with genuine warmth, calm confidence, and openness, they'll feel that too. Your energy is contagious. It spreads to everyone around you. So here's something I do before any important meeting or social event. I take a moment to center myself, a few deep breaths. I think about the kind of interaction I want to create. I consciously choose the energy I want to bring into that space. It takes 30 seconds, and it changes everything. But here's maybe the most important thing about first impressions, something most people get backwards. A first impression isn't really about you. It's about how you make the other person feel. If they walk away from meeting you thinking, wow, I felt really good around that person, you've already won. You don't need to be the most impressive person in the room. You just need to be the most genuinely interested. Ask questions. Listen deeply. Show real curiosity about who they are and what they care about. When you focus on making others feel valued instead of trying to make yourself look good, something beautiful happens. They remember you for all the right reasons. Of course, not every first impression will be flawless. Maybe you'll stumble over your words, forget someone's name, or feel a wave of awkwardness wash over you. That's completely okay. What matters most isn't perfection, it's sincerity. People are far more forgiving than we give them credit for, especially when they can sense that you're being genuine. Remember this, mastering first impressions is like planting a seed. That initial moment sets the stage for everything that grows afterward. Friendships, partnerships, even love. So treat every new encounter as an opportunity. Walk in with presence. Show genuine interest. And leave people feeling just a little better than before they met you. When you do that consistently, doors begin to open, opportunities appear, and people start saying things like, there's just something about you. I can't put my finger on it, but I like them. That something isn't magic. It's intentionality. It's preparation. It's the result of choosing to show up as your real best self every single time. Chapter 4. Speak so people truly listen. Have you ever been talking to someone and felt like your words were just floating away? Like they were nodding, maybe even smiling, but nothing was actually sinking in? They were physically there, but mentally somewhere else entirely. That happens all the time. And honestly, it's not because people don't care. It's because most of us were never taught how to speak in a way that truly lands. We were taught grammar and vocabulary in school, sure, but nobody ever taught us how to make our words matter. Speaking isn't just about pushing sounds out of your mouth. It's about creating an experience. It's about connection. When you master this skill, people don't just hear you. They feel you. They remember you. Your words stick with them long after the conversation ends. Here's something that might sting a little, but it's important. Most people listen to respond, not to understand. And most people speak to be heard, not to actually connect. That's why so many conversations feel hollow, like two people performing monologues at each other instead of having a real exchange. If you want to stand out, if you want your words to actually land, you have to approach communication differently. You have to make every word intentional. The first element is clarity. If you want people to listen, you have to make it easy for them to follow you. Stop rambling. Stop stuffing your sentences with complicated words just to sound intelligent. Here's something that might surprise you. The most powerful communicators in history were often the simplest. Think about the speeches that moved entire nations. They weren't filled with academic jargon or fancy vocabulary. They were clear, direct, and deeply emotional. People remember what they can understand and feel, so speak plainly, but speak with power behind your words. Do you ever catch yourself overcomplicating things when you talk? Using 10 words when 3 would do? I used to do that all the time. I thought more words meant more impact. It's actually the opposite. Next, your tone. This is something most people completely underestimate. Your tone is like the soundtrack behind your words. It tells people how to feel about what you're saying. You could say the most brilliant, insightful thing in the world, but if your voice is flat and lifeless, it will land with a thud. Nobody will care. But if you speak with genuine energy, natural warmth, and steady confidence, you bring your words to life. You don't need to shout or be dramatic. Just let your real passion come through. If you don't sound like you care about what you're saying, why on earth should anyone else? Then there's pacing. This is the one that trips up so many people, especially when nerves kick in. When you're anxious, your speech speeds up, like you're afraid someone's going to cut you off before you finish your thought. But here's what happens when you rush. You create stress for yourself and for your listener. They can feel your anxiety, and it makes it hard for them to absorb what you're saying. So slow down, breathe, and here's the real magic. Use pauses, strategic silence. When you pause before or after an important point, you give your words room to breathe, room to land. Think about music for a second. It's not just the notes that make a song beautiful. It's the space between the notes, the rests, the silences. Great speakers use pauses the same way. They create rhythm, they create anticipation, and they give their audience time to actually feel what was just said. Now let me tell you about one of the most powerful communication tools that exists. Storytelling. Facts inform people. Statistics educate people. But stories? Stories transform people. When you tell a story, you're not just sharing information. You're inviting someone into an experience. You're creating emotion, and emotion is what drives real human connection. If you want to inspire someone to take action, don't just tell them what to do. Tell them a story that makes them feel why it matters. Paint a picture they can step into. Give them characters they can relate to. Let them feel the struggle and the triumph. People may forget the specific words you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Ever. Has a story ever changed the way you saw something? A story someone told you that just shifted your entire perspective? That's the power I'm talking about. Let me give you a quick framework for storytelling that works in any conversation. Start with the struggle, the moment of tension, doubt, or difficulty. Then take your listener through the journey, the choices made, the lessons learned, the turning points, and end with a transformation. What changed? What was gained? What became possible? People connect with this arc because it mirrors their own lives. We've all struggled, we've all grown, and we're all hoping for transformation. When your stories follow this pattern, they don't just inform, they resonate on a deeply personal level. Another thing that makes great speakers unforgettable: specificity. Vague statements wash over people. Specific details stick. Don't say, "I had a tough experience." Say, "I remember sitting in my car at 11 p.m. in a parking lot, staring at my phone, wondering if I should make the call that would change everything." See the difference? Specificity creates vivid pictures in your listener's mind. It transports them. It makes your words three-dimensional instead of flat. Here's another thing. Great speaking isn't a monologue. Even in a one-on-one conversation, pay attention to how the other person is responding. Are they leaning in or pulling back? Are their eyes lighting up or glazing over? Adjust in real time. Read the room. This transforms a lecture into a living, breathing exchange. It makes the other person feel included, not talked at. And listening, this might sound counterintuitive, but listening is actually a massive part of speaking well. The best communicators are exceptional listeners. When you truly listen to someone, your responses become more meaningful, more targeted, more relevant. People can feel the difference between someone who's speaking from a place of genuine understanding and someone who's just waiting for their turn to talk. The final piece is confidence. If you don't believe in your own message, nobody else will either. And confidence in speaking doesn't mean perfection. It means being authentic and present. It's okay to stumble over a word. It's okay to lose your train of thought for a second. What matters is that you keep going without shrinking, without over-apologizing, without losing your presence. That kind of steady confidence tells your listener, "This matters. Pay attention." Imagine walking into a room, opening your mouth, and watching everyone naturally lean in. Not because you're the loudest, not because you're the most polished, but because your words carry genuine weight, because you speak with clarity, warmth, and real purpose. That's not fantasy, that's a skill, and it's yours for the building. Chapter 5. The Art of Listening with Purpose. Let me ask you something uncomfortable. How often do you truly, genuinely listen to someone? Without planning your response, without sneaking a glance at your phone, without mentally composing your grocery list? Be honest. It's okay. Here's the reality. Most people think they're good listeners, but real listening, the kind that actually changes relationships, is shockingly rare. And that's precisely what makes it so powerful. When you master the art of listening with purpose, you instantly set yourself apart from nearly everyone else. You become someone people trust, respect, and feel magnetically drawn to. Why? Because you've given them something that almost no one else in their life gives them: your full, undivided presence. Think about how most conversations actually go. Two people taking turns talking. Each person is just waiting for their opening, waiting to jump in with their opinion, their story, their advice. It creates surface-level connection at best, but when you listen with real purpose, you go so much deeper. You make the other person feel genuinely seen, heard, and valued. And here's what happens when someone feels that way. They bond with you, almost involuntarily. It's one of the most powerful human experiences there is. People don't remember every word you say, but they absolutely, without exception, remember how you made them feel. If you made them feel heard, you're unforgettable. Listening with purpose isn't passive. Let me be clear about that. It's not just sitting there quietly with a blank expression while someone else talks. It's active. It's intentional. It requires your full engagement. You're not just hearing words. You're reading the emotion underneath them. You're noticing the hesitation in their voice, the shift in their posture, the little sigh they're trying to hide. These tiny signals reveal more about what someone is truly feeling than their actual words ever could. Have you ever had someone say, "I'm fine" to you, and you could just feel in your gut that they absolutely were not fine? That's what I'm talking about. The words said one thing, everything else said another. The first step to becoming a truly great listener is deceptively simple. Stop interrupting. I know it sounds obvious, but pay attention to yourself in your next conversation and see how hard it actually is. Most of us interrupt because we're excited to share something, or because we think we already know what the person is going to say. But every time you cut someone off, you send an unspoken message. What I have to say is more important than what you're saying. Even if that's not your intention, that's what they feel. Instead, practice the discipline of silence. Let people finish their full thought. And here's something magical that happens when you do. Sometimes, after a brief pause, they'll go deeper. They'll share something they weren't originally planning to say, simply because you gave them the space to get there. The second step is genuine curiosity. Ask open-ended questions, the kind that invite someone to share more than just a yes or a no. Instead of, "Did you have a good weekend?" Try, "What was the highlight of your weekend?" Instead of, "Are you okay?" Try, "What's been weighing on you lately?" These kinds of questions open doors. They create safe spaces for honest conversation. Here's a secret that still amazes me. When you truly listen, like really listen, people will tell you things they didn't even plan to share. Their dreams, their fears, their deepest motivations. They'll open up in ways that surprise even themselves, not because you manipulated them, but because you created a container of trust and safety. That's a gift, and that gift builds the kind of deep connection most people spend their entire lives searching for. Body language plays a huge role in purposeful listening, too. Lean in slightly when someone's talking to you. Maintain warm, steady eye contact. Not a creepy stare, but genuine, connected attention. Nod naturally to show you're tracking with them. These signals tell the speaker, "I'm here with you. What you're saying matters to me." But here's the important part. Don't fake it. People can absolutely sense when your interest isn't genuine. If you're truly present, your body language will naturally reflect it. Authenticity is everything. Listening with purpose also means paying attention to the words people don't say. Sometimes, silence speaks louder than anything. If someone suddenly goes quiet when a certain topic comes up, or their tone shifts unexpectedly, pay attention. That's often where the real story is hiding. You don't have to call it out directly, but you can gently guide the conversation by saying something like, "You seem to pause there. Is there more you'd like to share?" This shows genuine care and creates space for honesty. One of the greatest gifts of purposeful listening is that it can actually diffuse conflict. When people feel unheard, they get defensive. They dig in. They fight harder. But when someone feels genuinely understood, even in the middle of a disagreement, the whole dynamic shifts. You don't have to agree with someone to make them feel heard. Sometimes just saying, "I can see why you feel that way," can take the temperature of an entire conversation from boiling to room temperature. In a world that's getting louder and more distracted every single day, the ability to truly listen has become almost a superpower. While everyone else is fighting to be heard, you become the person others seek out, the one they trust with their honest thoughts, their real worries, their boldest dreams. So here's your challenge. In your very next conversation, focus completely on the other person. Put your phone away. Stop rehearsing your response. Just be there, fully, completely. Listen not just to their words, but to their heart. It will feel different because it is different. And I promise you, once you experience the real power of purposeful listening, you'll never want to go back to the shallow stuff. Remember, talking grabs attention, but listening earns respect. And respect? That's the foundation of every meaningful relationship you'll ever build. Chapter 6. Use body language to command respect. Here's something that might blow your mind a little. Long before you say a single word, long before you even open your mouth, your body is already having a full conversation on your behalf. People are reading you constantly. Whether you realize it or not, they're processing the way you stand, how you move, where your eyes go, even the micro expressions flickering across your face. This is why some people walk into a room and instantly command everyone's attention, while others seem to fade into the wallpaper without ever saying a thing. It's not magic. It's not some mystical aura. It's body language. And when you learn to master it, you can project confidence, charisma, and quiet authority without ever raising your voice. But here's something most people don't realize about body language, and this is really important. It doesn't just affect how others see you. It affects how you see yourself, how you feel inside. The way you carry your body literally changes your internal state. If you slump your shoulders, avoid eye contact, and make yourself physically small, you'll actually start to feel small. Your confidence will shrink to match your posture. But if you stand tall, open up your chest, and move with purpose, you'll feel more capable and confident. And others will sense that shift immediately. Has that ever happened to you? You were feeling down, but then you forced yourself to stand up straighter, pull your shoulders back, and suddenly you felt a little bit better. That's not your imagination. That's your body telling your brain, "We're okay. We've got this." Scientists actually have a term for this. It's called embodied cognition. The idea that your physical state directly influences your mental and emotional state. It's not just woo-woo self-help talk. It's backed by real research. Your body and mind aren't separate systems operating independently. They're deeply interconnected, which means one of the fastest shortcuts to changing how you feel is changing how you hold your body. Stand like a person who's confident, and your brain will start generating the chemistry of confidence. Move like someone who's calm and in control, and your nervous system will actually begin to calm down. This is why body language isn't just about impressing others. It's a tool for transforming your own internal experience. You're not just projecting confidence to the outside world. You're building it from the inside out. Let's start with posture, the foundation of everything. The moment you walk into any room, people are already making snap judgments about you based on how you hold yourself. Shoulders back, head high, feet firmly planted. Don't cross your arms tightly or hunch over like you're trying to disappear. Open posture signals confidence and approachability. Closed posture signals insecurity, defensiveness, or discomfort. When you stand tall, you're silently communicating, "I belong here. I have nothing to hide." That one simple adjustment can completely shift how people respond to you. Eye contact is another incredibly powerful tool. It might be one of the fastest ways to either build trust or accidentally destroy it. Too little eye contact makes you seem insecure, shifty, or dishonest. Too much can feel aggressive or uncomfortable. The sweet spot is balanced, natural eye contact. When you're speaking, hold it for a few seconds at a time, then let your gaze naturally drift before returning. When you're listening, maintain soft, steady eye contact to show genuine attentiveness. Think of your eyes as a bridge connecting you to the other person. They create a sense of intimacy and trust that words alone can't achieve. Your hands matter more than you might think, too. Nervous fidgeting, tapping your fingers, playing with your hair, picking at your nails sends loud signals of anxiety. Crossing your arms can make you look closed off or defensive. Instead, use calm, deliberate gestures that complement what you're saying. Open palms signal honesty and transparency. Keeping your hands relaxed at your sides instead of jammed into your pockets projects confidence and openness. Small details, maybe, but they add up fast. Let's talk about movement. The way you move through physical space communicates volumes about how you feel internally. Quick, jerky, rushed movements signal nervousness and uncertainty. Slow, deliberate, purposeful movement signals calm control. When you walk into a room, don't scurry. Don't rush. Take your time. Move like someone who has a destination and isn't worried about getting there. Picture a respected leader walk into the front of a room to give a speech. They don't scramble. They glide. They project quiet authority before they've spoken a single word. Facial expressions are constantly communicating too. A genuine, relaxed smile can immediately lower someone's guard and make you more likable. But a forced or fake smile? People can spot it instantly, and it actually creates distrust. The key is authenticity. Let your face match your real feelings. If you're happy to see someone, let that joy show naturally. If you're focused on what they're saying, let your face reflect that genuine interest. Here's something crucial that ties it all together. Your body language must match your words. If you say, "I'm so excited about this," but your voice is monotone and your posture is slouched, nobody will believe you. When your verbal message and your nonverbal signals align, you create trust and credibility. When they contradict each other, people feel something is off, even if they can't articulate exactly what. This is why great communicators, leaders, and speakers pay so much attention to their physical presence, because people believe what they see more than what they hear. There's also a subtle technique called mirroring that's incredibly effective when done naturally. When you subtly reflect someone's posture, gestures, or speaking pace, it creates a subconscious feeling of connection and harmony. If they lean in, you lean in slightly a moment later. If they speak slowly and calmly, you match that rhythm. This isn't about copying them. It's about creating a sense of being in sync. When it happens naturally, the other person feels comfortable and understood on a level they can't even explain. But let me be really clear about something. Body language isn't about performing. It's not about putting on a show. It's about alignment, making sure your outside matches your inside. If you're faking confidence while crumbling internally, people will eventually notice the cracks. The real goal is to become the person your body language represents. Stand tall because you genuinely believe in yourself. Make eye contact because you honestly want to connect. Smile because you truly want to bring warmth. Start paying attention to your body language today. Notice your posture during conversations. Watch how you enter rooms. Practice maintaining calm, steady eye contact. Over time, these habits will become second nature, and you'll be amazed at how differently people start treating you. They'll listen more closely. They'll respect your presence. They'll lean into your energy. Your body speaks louder than anything your mouth ever will. When you learn to use that language wisely, you don't have to fight for respect. You simply embody it. Chapter 7. Build instant rapport with anyone. Have you ever met someone for the very first time, and within minutes it felt like you'd known them for years? That instant warmth, that effortless connection, that feeling of, where have you been all my life? That's called rapport. And here's what I want you to understand. It's not random. It's not chemistry. It's not luck. It's a skill. One of the most valuable skills you can ever develop. Some people seem naturally gifted at making others feel instantly comfortable. But look closer and you'll realize they're doing specific things. Whether they learn them consciously or pick them up intuitively over time. The beautiful news? You can learn them too. And once you do, you'll be able to create genuine trust and connection with almost anyone, in almost any situation. Why does this matter so much? Because rapport is the foundation of influence. Without it, even your best ideas fall flat. You could have the perfect solution, the smartest strategy, the most compelling argument. But if people don't feel connected to you, they won't truly listen. They won't open up. They won't follow your lead. On the flip side, when you have real rapport, everything changes. Doors open, people lean in, they want to help you, work with you, and be around you. That's how powerful this is. So how do you build it? It starts with something deceptively simple. Genuine interest. And I mean genuine. People have incredibly sensitive radar for fakeness. They can sense when you're just going through the motions, waiting for your turn to speak, or scanning the room for someone more important to talk to. If you want someone to genuinely connect with you, you must genuinely care about them, not as a strategy, as a human being. Ask thoughtful questions. Really listen to the answers. When someone feels that you're truly interested in who they are, they'll instinctively feel closer to you. Has someone ever made you feel like you were the only person in the room? Remember how good that felt? That's what genuine interest does. It's magnetic. Another powerful rapport builder is finding common ground. Human beings are deeply wired to seek out similarity. We instinctively trust people who seem like us. And this doesn't require sharing major life experiences. It could be something as simple as loving the same coffee, having kids the same age, growing up in the same kind of neighborhood, or getting excited about the same obscure hobby. When you discover these small connection points, mention them naturally in the conversation. They become invisible bridges between you and the other person, making them feel more comfortable and understood. Mirroring is another subtle but incredibly effective technique. This means gently reflecting the other person's energy, body language, and speaking style. If they're calm and soft-spoken, don't respond with loud, high-energy enthusiasm. Match their pace. If they lean forward while sharing something important, lean in slightly a moment later. If they use informal language, relax your own speech a bit. This creates a subconscious sense of harmony, like you're on the same wavelength. But, and this is important, it has to feel natural. If you overdo it or make it mechanical, it becomes weird fast. Think of it as tuning into their frequency, not mimicking their every move. Names. Never underestimate the power of someone's name. There's something almost magical about hearing your own name spoken with sincerity. When you use someone's name during a conversation, naturally not constantly, it immediately makes the exchange feel more personal and intimate. That's a really interesting perspective, Marcus. Hits completely differently than just, "That's interesting." It shows you're present. You're paying attention. You see them as an individual, not just another face. Now, here's a mistake I see people make constantly when trying to build rapport. They talk about themselves way too much. They tell long stories about their own accomplishments, share their resume highlights, or try to impress with name drops and humble brags. But that approach almost always backfires. Real connection doesn't come from being impressive. It comes from making the other person feel important. Remember this golden rule: be interested, not interesting. When you shift the spotlight away from yourself and onto the other person, when you make them the star of the conversation, they'll walk away feeling great about the interaction, and by extension, feeling great about you. Of course, rapport has to be built on authenticity. You can't create a lasting connection by pretending to be someone you're not, agreeing with everything they say, or performing a version of yourself that isn't real. People will eventually see through it, and when they do, the trust crumbles. So be yourself. Be honest. You can absolutely disagree with someone without being disagreeable. In fact, a respectful difference of opinion can actually strengthen rapport, because it proves you're being genuine. Here's something practical you can do starting today. Give people small wins in conversation. Offer a sincere compliment. Acknowledge their perspective. Thank them for sharing something personal. These micro moments of validation make people feel valued. And when someone feels valued, they open up. They trust you more. The wall comes down. Rapport also deepens through follow-through. If you tell someone you'll send them that article, send it. If you promise to introduce them to a contact, do it. If you remember a detail they shared, their daughter's name, the trip they were planning, the project they were stressed about, bring it up next time you see them. Reliability builds trust faster than almost anything else. In a world full of flaky people and broken promises, being someone who actually follows through makes you rare and valuable. Finally, remember that rapport isn't a one-time event. It's a living thing that grows over time. Your first interaction is just planting the seed. Every future conversation, every thoughtful gesture, every moment of genuine interest, that's the water and sunlight. Over time, that seed grows into something strong and lasting. Imagine being able to walk into any room, meet any stranger, and within minutes feel that invisible thread of connection pulling you together. That's the power of rapport. When you master it, people don't just like being around you. They trust you, they confide in you, and they genuinely want to support you. Building rapport isn't trickery. It's not manipulation. It's simply showing up with genuine care, full attention, and a real desire to understand another human being. Do that consistently, and connection will stop being something you chase. It'll become something that naturally flows to you. Think about your closest relationships right now, the ones that feel easiest, most natural, most nourishing. I bet those relationships didn't start with a pitch or a strategy. They started with a moment of genuine connection, a shared laugh, a vulnerable conversation, a feeling of being truly seen. That's rapport in its purest form. And you can create more of it with anyone, anywhere, once you understand the simple principles behind it. So here's a small challenge for you. The next person you meet, whether it's a coworker, a stranger in line, or an old friend, try one thing differently. Ask a real question. Listen with your full attention. Use their name. Find one genuine thing you have in common, just one interaction done with full presence and real care. See what happens. I think you'll be surprised at how quickly that invisible thread of connection appears. Chapter 8. Handle criticism and conflict gracefully. Let me tell you something that nobody really enjoys hearing. No matter how kind you are, no matter how carefully you choose your words, no matter how hard you try to do the right thing, someone, somewhere, at some point will criticize you. They'll misunderstand you. They'll disagree with you. Sometimes they'll even attack you in ways that feel deeply unfair. It's not a possibility. It's a guarantee. And here's what separates the people who truly thrive from the ones who get stuck. It's not whether they face criticism. Everyone does. It's how they respond when it comes. Anyone can be charming when the room is full of compliments. Anyone can be confident when everyone agrees with them. But the real test, the moment that reveals your true character and your real social intelligence, comes when someone challenges you, when someone questions your decisions, when the heat is on. That moment is either where your influence grows or where it dies. Have you ever been criticized and felt that hot, prickly wave of defensiveness rush through your body? That instant urge to fight back, to justify yourself, to prove them wrong? Of course you have. We all have. It's one of the most natural human reactions there is. But here's the thing. That knee-jerk reaction almost always makes things worse. It escalates the tension. It closes doors. It turns what could have been a productive conversation into a battleground. So the first rule of handling criticism gracefully is simple, but not easy. Don't take it personally, at least not right away. I know that sounds almost impossible, especially when the criticism feels deeply personal. But here's what I've learned. Most criticism isn't really about you at all. It's about the other person's perspective, their mood, their stress level, or their own unresolved insecurities. Sometimes what feels like a personal attack is really just someone projecting their own frustrations onto the nearest target. Once you've paused, and that pause is everything, listen carefully to what's actually being said. Separate the message from the emotion it's wrapped in. Someone might be delivering feedback in a harsh, angry tone, but buried inside their words could be a genuine insight that helps you grow. Even painful criticism can contain a kernel of truth. If that truth is there, have the courage to accept it with humility, and if it's not there, you can let it go without letting it poison your peace. Here's what I do. I mentally ask myself, is there even 1% of truth in what they're saying? If there is, I take it, I learn from it. If there genuinely isn't, I let it pass through me like wind through a screen door. When responding to criticism, your tone matters more than your words. If you react defensively, the other person will feel attacked and they'll dig in harder. The whole thing escalates. But if you respond with calm, genuine calm, not passive-aggressive coldness, you completely disarm the situation. Simple phrases like, "I appreciate you sharing that with me," or "I can see where you're coming from," can instantly lower the emotional temperature. And notice, these phrases don't mean you're agreeing with them. They just signal that you're open to a conversation, not a fight. Here's a powerful move. Ask questions instead of making statements. When someone criticizes you, try saying, "Can you help me understand what you mean?" Or, "What would you like to see handled differently?" This shifts the entire energy from blame to problem solving. It signals maturity and emotional control. And honestly, it throws most people completely off. In the best way. They're so used to arguments spiraling out of control that when you stay calm and curious, the whole dynamic transforms. Conflict works similarly. It's going to happen. In your career, your family, your friendships. The question isn't how to avoid it. It's how to navigate it with wisdom. And here's a perspective shift that changed everything for me. Healthy conflict can actually strengthen relationships. It forces important issues to the surface where they can finally be addressed. The real danger isn't conflict itself. It's when conflict turns into a power struggle, a personal attack, or a competition to see who can hurt the other person more. One of the smartest strategies in any conflict is shifting from me versus you to us versus the problem. Instead of arguing your position, try saying something like, "We both want this to work out well. Let's figure out together how to make that happen." That one sentence can completely reframe a conversation from adversarial to collaborative. Empathy is your secret weapon here. When someone is upset, there's always an underlying emotion driving their behavior. Fear, frustration, feeling undervalued, feeling unheard. If you can identify and acknowledge that deeper emotion, you dissolve most of the tension. "I can tell this really matters to you," or "I understand this has been frustrating." These aren't weak statements. They're incredibly powerful ones because they show you care about the person, not just the argument. And yes, sometimes someone will simply be unreasonable, toxic even. In those moments, the most graceful move might be to step away. You don't have to win every battle. Walking away from an unwinnable fight isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Protect your energy by choosing your battles carefully. When you consistently handle criticism and conflict with grace, something remarkable happens to your reputation. People start seeing you as someone who stays calm under fire, someone who can navigate storms without losing their center. That kind of emotional steadiness is magnetic. It makes people want to follow your lead because they trust that you won't fall apart when things get tough. Criticism and conflict are inevitable. You can't control what other people say or do, but you can always control your response. And when that response is grace instead of aggression, patience instead of rage, you turn potential enemies into allies and painful moments into genuine opportunities for growth. Be the calm in the storm every single time. And here's what you'll discover over time. The more you practice handling criticism and conflict with composure, the more confident you become. Not because you stop caring about what people think, but because you learn that criticism can't break you. Disagreement can't define you. Conflict can't control you. You can stand in the fire and not burn. That realization is profoundly liberating. It also changes how others perceive you. People start to see you as someone with real emotional depth and maturity, not someone who's easily rattled or knocked off course. They'll bring you their toughest problems because they trust your judgment under pressure. They'll seek your counsel in difficult situations because they've seen how you navigate your own. That kind of trust is earned in the hard moments, never in the easy ones. Chapter 9. Influence without manipulation. Let's talk about something that makes a lot of people uncomfortable. Influence. The word itself can feel loaded. Maybe when you hear influence, your mind goes to sleazy salespeople, manipulative bosses, or people who charm their way into getting what they want at everyone else's expense. And honestly, that discomfort makes sense, because influence, when abused, can be deeply destructive. But here's what I want you to understand. Influence itself isn't good or bad. It's a tool, like a knife. It can be used to prepare a beautiful meal or to cause harm. The difference between a leader and a manipulator comes down to one single word: intent. True influence isn't about tricking people. It isn't about exploiting psychological vulnerabilities or playing mind games. It's about inspiring people to move towards something that's genuinely good for them and for everyone involved. It's about earning trust so deep that people willingly follow your lead, not because they're being deceived, but because they believe in what you represent. Does that distinction make sense? Because it's everything. A lot of people think influence requires some kind of gift, a silver tongue, a magnetic personality, or a bag of psychological tricks. But real, lasting influence is much quieter than that. It doesn't depend on clever tactics or pressure techniques. It flows from who you are, how you consistently show up, and the trust you've built over months and years. People don't follow someone because they're forced to or tricked into it. They follow because they choose to. And that choice comes from one place: genuine respect. The foundation of ethical influence is credibility. If people don't trust you, nothing you say will land. Period. You could give the most persuasive presentation in history, and it won't matter if the audience doesn't believe you're honest. Trust isn't something you can rush or fake. It grows slowly, steadily, through consistent action. When you consistently do what you say you'll do, when you act with integrity, even when it's inconvenient, when you choose honesty, even when a comfortable lie would be easier, people start to see you as reliable, and reliability is quietly magnetic. It makes others naturally open to your ideas because they believe you have their best interests at heart. Without trust, influence becomes coercion. With trust, influence becomes effortless. The next piece is understanding before persuading. This is where most people get it backwards. They push their agenda first, argue their position, Try to convince others before they've even understood what those others actually need. But if you want someone to genuinely follow your lead, start by stepping into their world. Listen to their concerns. Understand their fears. Learn their motivations. When someone feels truly understood by you, they become infinitely more receptive to hearing your perspective. Sometimes, simply being deeply understood is enough to shift someone's entire mindset without you having to sell anything at all. Have you ever changed your mind about something? Not because someone argued you into it, but because they first made you feel heard? That's influence at its purest. Another cornerstone of ethical influence is creating alignment. Manipulators try to win at someone else's expense. It's always a zero-sum game. True influencers create win-win outcomes. They show people how their idea benefits everyone, not just themselves. If you're leading a team, don't just talk about what you need. Show your team how the project supports their growth, their goals, their vision of success. People are exponentially more motivated when they can see how their personal aspirations fit into the bigger picture. One of the most powerful and most underestimated tools of influence is leading by example. Words are cheap. Everyone talks a big game. But actions are what truly inspire. If you want your team to bring more energy yourself. If you want your friend to take better care of their health, let them watch you take care of yours. If you want others to be more honest, be relentlessly honest in your own life. When people see you living your message, not just preaching it, they naturally want to follow. That's not manipulation. That's inspiration. Tone matters enormously as well. The way you deliver a message can be more important than the message itself. Speak with calm confidence, not urgency or force. Avoid using fear, guilt, or shame as tools. Those might produce short-term compliance, but they always leave long-term damage. Instead, focus on hopeful, uplifting language. Paint a picture of what's possible. Help people imagine a better future. When someone feels hope and excitement, they're 10 times more likely to take action than when they feel pressured or cornered. And here's something I think is really beautiful about ethical influence. It's a two-way street. It's not just about changing others. It's about being genuinely open to being changed yourself. When you show that you value other perspectives, when you're willing to say, "I hadn't thought about it that way," you earn even more respect. People see you as fair, humble, and trustworthy, not controlling. Of course, there will be times when someone resists your influence. That's okay. In fact, it's more than okay. It's their right. Influence isn't about forcing outcomes. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is plant a seed and walk away. You share your perspective with honesty and care, and then you let it go. You might not see immediate results, but those words can sit inside someone, quietly working in the background until they're ready to act on them in their own time. The real beauty of ethical influence is that it strengthens every relationship it touches. People will seek your guidance not because they fear you, but because they genuinely trust you. Over time, you'll build a reputation as someone who lifts others while moving forward together. That kind of reputation is priceless. Think about the people who've influenced you the most in your own life. I bet they didn't pressure you. They didn't manipulate you. They believed in you, sometimes before you believed in yourself. They inspired you through their actions, their integrity, their genuine care for your well-being. That's who you can become. And when you do, you won't need tricks. Your influence will flow naturally, built on trust and truth. And unlike manipulation, which might win a moment, true influence wins a lifetime. Chapter 10. Network like a natural leader. When most people hear the word networking, what's the first image that comes to mind? Probably some awkward hotel conference room where strangers exchange business cards with forced smiles and rehearsed elevator pitches. It feels transactional. It feels fake. And honestly, that's why so many people actively avoid it. But here's the thing. What most people call networking isn't really networking at all. Real networking has nothing to do with collecting contacts or working a room. It's about building genuine human connections, creating a circle of people who know you, trust you, respect you, and genuinely want to see you win. When you learn to network like a natural leader, opportunities don't just happen by chance. They find you consistently and almost effortlessly, because people are actively thinking of you and opening doors on your behalf. Does that sound too good to be true? I promise you it's not. But it requires a fundamental shift in how you think about connecting with others. The shift is this. Stop thinking about what you can get. Start thinking about what you can give. Most people approach every new connection with a me-first lens. How can this person help me? What's in it for me? How can they advance my career? And people feel that self-serving energy immediately. It makes them want to pull away, not lean in. True leaders flip that script entirely. They walk into every interaction thinking, how can I add value to this person's life? How can I help? What do I have to offer, even if it's small? When you lead with genuine generosity, something remarkable happens. People naturally want to give back. It's deeply wired into human nature. We want to reciprocate kindness. We remember the people who helped us without expecting anything in return. Start by being genuinely curious about others. When you meet someone new, resist the urge to talk about your own achievements. Instead, ask about their story. What are they excited about right now? What challenges are they navigating? What dream are they chasing? Most people rarely get to talk about what genuinely matters to them. When you create that space, you build a bond that goes far deeper than any business card exchange ever could. And here's the practical side of this. The more you learn about someone, the easier it becomes to help them. Maybe you know someone they should meet. Maybe you recently read an article that's perfect for their situation. These small, thoughtful gestures build trust rapidly. Authenticity is non-negotiable. People can sense when you're putting on a performance. You don't need to be polished or perfect. You just need to be real. Share your wins, absolutely, but also share your struggles. Be honest about your journey. Vulnerability creates connection because it makes you relatable and human. When someone sees you as a real person, not just a title or a LinkedIn profile, they feel safe to connect with you authentically. Here's something that separates truly great networkers from everyone else. They follow up. Meeting someone once doesn't build a relationship any more than watering a plant once keeps it alive. After meeting someone, send a brief, genuine message, not a sales pitch, just a human acknowledgement. Really enjoyed our conversation about X. Then a few weeks later, check in. Share something relevant. Ask how that project is going. These consistent, thoughtful touch points keep the relationship alive without feeling forced or transactional. At events and social gatherings, focus on depth over volume. It's far more valuable to have 3 genuine, memorable conversations than 30 superficial ones. The goal isn't to meet as many people as possible. It's to truly connect with the ones you do meet. When you leave an interaction with a real understanding of who someone is and what they care about, they'll remember you, and they'll want to stay in touch. One of the most powerful but overlooked networking strategies is connecting other people. When you introduce 2 people who could genuinely benefit from knowing each other, you immediately elevate your value in both their eyes. You become a connector, someone who creates opportunities for others. That's a leadership move, even without any formal title. The more you do this, the more your network transforms from a list of contacts into a living, breathing ecosystem of mutual trust and goodwill. Building a strong network also means being selective. Not every relationship deserves your time and energy. Some people take without giving. Some drain you with constant negativity. Pay attention to how you feel after interacting with someone. If you consistently feel depleted or uneasy, it might be time to create some distance. Protect your energy. Surround yourself with people who challenge you, support you, and inspire you to be better. And yes, your online presence matters too. Social media, when used with intention, is a powerful networking tool. But don't just post highlight reels about yourself. Share genuinely useful insights. Celebrate other people's wins. Engage in meaningful conversations, not just surface-level comments. When you consistently show up online as someone who brings real value, people are drawn to you, both digitally and in real life. Remember, networking is a long game. The connections you invest in today might not pay off for months or even years, and that's perfectly fine. Focus on planting seeds, not harvesting crops. Be patient. Be consistent. Be generous. Every real conversation, every thoughtful follow-up, every connection you nurture adds another brick to the foundation of your future. Imagine having a network of people who genuinely root for you, who recommend you without being asked, who open doors just because they believe in you. That's what happens when you network like a leader. You don't chase opportunities. They come to you, carried by the relationships you've built with care and authenticity. So the next time you meet someone, remember this simple rule. Don't think about what you can get. Think about what you can give. Lead with generosity. Lead with curiosity. Lead with realness. And watch what happens. You'll discover that the most successful people in your life, the ones with the biggest opportunities, the deepest relationships, the most fulfilling careers, aren't the ones who networked the hardest. They're the ones who cared the most. They built their network on a foundation of genuine human connection, and that foundation held strong through every season of their life. Your network isn't just a professional tool. It's a reflection of who you are and how you show up in the world. Build it with intention. Build it with heart. And it will become one of the most powerful assets you'll ever own. Not because of what it can get you, but because of the incredible people you'll get to walk through life alongside. Chapter 11. Win people over with authenticity. In a world absolutely overflowing with filters, curated highlights, and carefully constructed versions of reality, authenticity stands out like a lighthouse in a storm. People are exhausted. They're tired of being sold to, marketed at, and fed polished images that don't match reality. They're craving something real, someone real. And here's the beautiful thing about that. Being authentic doesn't just make you likable. It makes you magnetic. It draws people toward you naturally, without effort, without games, without pretense. When you show up as your actual self, not the version you think people want to see, you don't have to chase anyone's attention. You earn it, simply by being genuine in a world that's constantly performing. But let's be honest with each other. Being authentic isn't always easy, is it? Society puts constant pressure on us to fit in, to play certain roles, to smooth over the rough edges, to hide the parts of ourselves that feel vulnerable or too much. Maybe you've caught yourself saying what you thought someone wanted to hear instead of what you actually believed. Or maybe you've dimmed your personality in a group setting because you were afraid of being judged or rejected. We've all done it. The problem is, when you're not being real, people can feel it. They might not be able to identify exactly what's wrong, but something feels slightly off, like an instrument that's almost in tune, but not quite. That subtle misalignment erodes trust. It prevents real connection from forming. People might like your performance, but they won't truly connect with it because it's not you. Have you ever spent time with someone and walked away feeling strangely exhausted? Not because the conversation was deep, but because you were performing the whole time, monitoring every word, managing every impression. That exhaustion is the cost of inauthenticity. It drains you, and it deprives others of the real connection they were hoping for. Authenticity starts with self-acceptance. You cannot be real with others if you're constantly at war with yourself. And self-acceptance doesn't mean you stop growing or stop striving to improve. It means you own where you are right now. Honestly, completely. It means acknowledging your strengths without false modesty and acknowledging your weaknesses without shame. When you accept yourself fully, you radiate a quiet confidence that other people find deeply attractive. They're drawn to someone who's comfortable in their own skin because, consciously or not, it gives them permission to be comfortable in theirs too. The next step is learning to speak your truth with kindness. Authenticity is not an excuse for brutality. Being just honest is not a license to be hurtful. Real authenticity means expressing your genuine thoughts and feelings openly while maintaining respect for the other person. If you disagree with someone, you don't need to attack their position. You can simply say, "I see it a little differently," and share your perspective calmly. People may not always agree with you, but they'll always respect your courage and clarity. Here's something counterintuitive about being authentic. It doesn't push people away. It attracts the right people. When you're truly yourself, you naturally filter out the relationships that aren't a good fit. And that's actually a good thing. Yes, some people won't vibe with the real you. That's okay. That's more than okay. It means you're no longer wasting energy contorting yourself to please everyone. You're creating space for connections built on genuine alignment, the kind that actually nourish your soul. Would you rather be liked for a mask you wear every day, or loved for who you actually are? I think deep down, every single one of us knows the answer to that question. We all want to be loved for who we really are. And yet, so many of us spend years, sometimes decades, performing, wearing armor, showing the world a carefully edited version of ourselves while the real person hides behind the curtain, terrified of being seen. If that's you, if you've been performing for so long that you're not even sure who the real you is anymore, I want you to know something. The real you is still there. Under all the layers of protection you've built up, under all the roles you've played, under all the masks you've worn, there's a person who deserves to be seen, and the world deserves to meet them. Start small. You don't have to tear down every wall at once. Share one honest thought in your next conversation. Express one genuine feeling instead of the polished version. Let yourself be a little bit messy, a little bit imperfect, a little bit real, and watch what happens. I think you'll find that the people worth keeping in your life don't want the performance. They want you. Vulnerability is one of the most underrated ingredients in winning people over. So many people equate vulnerability with weakness, but the truth is the exact opposite. Sharing your struggles, your doubts, your past failures, that takes enormous courage. And when you do it, you create a powerful bond with others. It shows them you're human. Think about it. Who do you feel closer to? The person who presents a perfect, untouchable image all the time, or the one who admits they've stumbled, messed up, felt lost, and kept going anyway? Perfection is intimidating and isolating. Vulnerability is relatable and connecting. Authenticity also demands consistency. People need to see that who you are on Monday is the same person on Friday, that who you are with your boss is the same person you are with the waiter. If you act one way in one setting and completely different in another, trust erodes fast. Even small inconsistencies, like being warm to someone's face but talking about them behind their back, can shatter your credibility. The most magnetic people are the steady ones. What you see is what you get, always. Living authentically also means setting boundaries. This might seem contradictory. You'd think being real means being open to everything and everyone. But actually, knowing your limits and being willing to communicate them is one of the most authentic things you can do. When you have clear boundaries, people know where they stand with you. They might not always love it, but they'll respect it deeply. And respect, as we've established, is worth far more than approval. Here's a little self-check you can do. After your next social interaction, notice how you feel. Do you feel energized and at peace? Or do you feel drained, anxious, maybe a little hollow, like you were performing instead of being present? That inner discomfort is your compass telling you that you weren't fully aligned with yourself. The more you practice showing up authentically, the less frequent that discomfort becomes, and the more genuinely connected your relationships feel. When you lead with authenticity, something magical happens. You stop chasing influence, and influence starts chasing you. People are drawn to your honesty, your transparency, your willingness to be real when everyone else is performing. They trust your words because they trust your character. Even when they disagree with you, they admire you for standing in your truth. Think about the most memorable people you've ever met, the ones who left a lasting mark on you. I'm willing to bet they weren't the most polished or the most impressive on paper. They were the ones who felt real, who looked you in the eye and spoke with sincerity, who made you feel safe being yourself because they weren't afraid to be themselves first. That's the power of authenticity. It doesn't demand attention. It invites genuine connection. So here's your reminder. You don't need to be perfect to win people over. You just need to be you, the real, unfiltered, imperfect, beautiful you. In a world drowning in pretense, that's the most magnetic thing you can offer. Chapter 12. Stay calm. Under pressure, life will test you. Not maybe, definitely. There will be moments when everything seems to collapse at once. Deadlines stacking up, relationships under strain, unexpected problems blindsiding you from directions you never saw coming. And in those white-knuckle moments, here's what happens. People look at you. They watch how you respond. Whether you realize it or not, your reaction in those high-pressure moments communicates more about who you are than 1,000 smooth, comfortable conversations ever could. Think about the people you genuinely admire and respect most. Are they the ones who panic, explode, or fall apart when things go sideways? Probably not. They're the ones who somehow keep their composure, who think clearly when everyone around them is spiraling. That kind of calmness under pressure isn't just impressive, it's magnetic. It inspires confidence. It makes people want to follow you, lean on you, trust you with important things. When you can stay steady in the middle of a storm, you become the person everyone looks to, not because you have all the answers, but because you demonstrate the ability to navigate uncertainty without losing yourself. Has that ever happened to you? A moment of real pressure where you surprised yourself by staying calm, and afterward you felt this surge of quiet strength like, I can handle more than I thought? That's what this skill gives you, over and over again. The first step is beautifully simple. Pause before you react. Most people make situations worse by acting on impulse. An angry email gets an angry reply. A harsh comment gets a defensive snap. A stressful situation triggers frantic, scattered action. But when you pause, even for just 3 or 4 seconds, you create a critical gap between the event and your response. In that tiny gap, you reclaim your power. You move from reactive to intentional. You give yourself the chance to think instead of just react. It's like pressing a mental reset button. Breathing, I know, it sounds so basic, but physiologically, it's one of the most effective tools you have. When you take slow, deep breaths during a stressful moment, you're literally communicating to your nervous system. We're safe. We can handle this. Your heart rate drops. Your mind clears. Your emotions settle. It's a small action with a disproportionately large impact. Try it next time. 3 slow, deep breaths before you respond to anything stressful. You'll be surprised how much clarity it creates. Perspective is another game changer. Pressure feels overwhelming when you mentally inflate the situation. When you convince yourself it's catastrophic, permanent, or all-encompassing. We tend to imagine worst-case scenarios that, statistically, almost never happen. But when you step back and look at the situation objectively, as if advising a friend going through the same thing, the problem usually shrinks significantly. Ask yourself honestly, will this matter in a year? 5 years? What specific part of this can I actually control right now? When you focus on what you can influence and consciously release what you can't, the mountain often turns back into a manageable hill. Preparation is your best friend here too. Calm people aren't calm because nothing phases them. They're calm because they've prepared mentally, emotionally, practically. Think about a firefighter. They don't wait until a building is burning to figure out what to do. They train relentlessly so that when the moment comes, they respond with clarity instead of chaos. You can do the same thing in your own life. Develop routines that ground you. Build systems that keep you organized. Practice facing difficult situations before they're urgent. The more prepared you are, the less anything can truly shake you. And then there's self-talk, your inner narrator. Under pressure, that voice in your head becomes either your greatest ally or your cruelest saboteur. If your internal monologue is saying, "This is too much, I can't handle it, everything's falling apart," you'll feel exactly that way. Your body will tense up, your thinking will narrow. But if you catch that narrative and redirect it, "I've handled hard things before. I'm capable. I'll take this one step at a time," you tap into a completely different reserve of strength. What do you usually tell yourself when things get tough? Pay attention to that voice. It matters more than you think. Here's something truly powerful about calmness. It's contagious. When you stay composed while everyone around you is losing it, you give other people permission to calm down too. Think about being in a meeting where emotions are running high, voices are rising, tension is thick, and then someone speaks up with steady, measured calm. The whole energy shifts. People breathe easier. They start thinking again instead of just reacting. That person becomes the anchor in the room. That person could be you. Of course, staying calm doesn't mean ignoring problems or pretending everything's fine when it's clearly not. It means approaching difficult situations with clarity and intentionality instead of panic and reactivity. It's saying, "Yes, this is hard, and I'm going to handle it thoughtfully." Sometimes the hardest part is releasing the need to control everything. So much of our pressure comes from trying to manage outcomes that are genuinely beyond our reach. But the truth is simple. You can't control every variable. You can't control other people. You can't control the economy, the weather, or the 1,000 random events that shape each day. What you can always control is your effort, your attitude, and your response. When you ground yourself in those three things, you free yourself from the crushing weight of trying to micromanage the universe. Life will always have chaos. You can't avoid the storms, but you can choose every single time how you show up within them. You can be the person who panics and makes things worse, or you can be the person who stays grounded, thinks clearly, and leads everyone through to the other side. Pause, breathe, gain perspective, focus on what's in your hands. Be the calm in the storm, not the storm itself. Because when you master this, you don't just survive tough moments, you transform them into your greatest displays of character. Chapter 13. Build a reputation that speaks for you. Your reputation is something living and breathing. It exists even when you're not in the room. Right now, as you listen to this, there are people out there who have an opinion of you. They've formed ideas about who you are, what you stand for, and what it's like to be around you. And here's the part that really matters. Your reputation arrives places before you do. Before you show up for a job interview, before you walk into a new social circle, before someone decides whether to do business with you or date you, your reputation has already had the first conversation. The question isn't whether you have a reputation. you do. The question is, what story is it telling about you? In today's world, where information travels instantly and impressions form in seconds, your reputation is arguably more valuable than any skill, degree, or amount of money you possess. Skills might get you through the door, but your reputation determines whether you stay and how far you go. People do business with those they trust. They recommend, promote, and support those they genuinely believe in. If you want to build lasting influence and become truly charismatic, you must be intentional about the reputation you're cultivating, because once trust is damaged, rebuilding it is one of the hardest things in the world. So, how do you build a reputation that actually works for you, even when you're not there? It starts with consistency. This is the bedrock. People need to know what to expect from you, regardless of the context. Think about someone who's warm and charming to their boss, but rude to the barista, dismissive to people they perceive as unimportant or short-tempered with their family. That kind of inconsistency doesn't just look bad, it destroys credibility. True leaders are steady. Whether you're speaking with a CEO, a stranger on a bus, or a child, your fundamental respect and integrity should remain unchanged. Consistency is what builds reliability, and reliability is what builds reputation. Next, and this one is so simple yet so rare, keep your word. When you say you'll do something, do it. Show up on time. Meet your deadlines. Follow through on your promises, even the small ones, especially the small ones, because the small ones are where most people drop the ball. They cancel plans last minute, miss deadlines by just a day, forget to send that email they promised. Each broken commitment chips away at their credibility, often without them even realizing it. But when you become known as someone who can be counted on, that reputation becomes more valuable than any achievement on your resume. Your work ethic speaks volumes, too. You don't have to be the most talented or gifted person in any room, but you should always be among the most committed. People notice effort. They notice when someone goes beyond what's expected without being asked, without complaining, without seeking credit. Over time, this builds a reputation for excellence that precedes you into every opportunity. But reputation isn't only built through what you do. It's equally shaped by how you treat people. Your character is most visible in the moments nobody's watching. Are you kind when there's no advantage in being kind? Do you give credit generously instead of claiming it for yourself? Do you speak well of others even when they're not present? These choices create ripple effects that travel much further than you realize. People may not remember the details of every interaction with you, but they will absolutely remember how you made them feel. A reputation built on genuine kindness and respect will outlast any title, any achievement, any amount of success. Think about it this way. When someone passes away, nobody stands at their funeral talking about their job title or their net worth. They talk about how that person made them feel. They share stories about their character, their kindness, their integrity. That's reputation in its truest form, the echo of how you lived reverberating long after you're gone. You're building that echo right now with every interaction, every choice, every small moment of integrity or kindness. What echo are you creating? Here's something people often overlook in our digital age. Your online presence is part of your reputation now. Every post, every comment, Every photo you share tells a story about you. Before someone hires you, partners with you, or even goes on a first date with you, there's a good chance they'll look you up online. What will they find? Is it consistent with the person you want to be? Be thoughtful about what you put into the digital world, because once it's out there, it becomes a permanent part of your story. Now, nobody's perfect. You're going to make mistakes. You'll say the wrong thing, miss an opportunity, or let someone down at some point. That's human. But here's what separates people with strong reputations from everyone else. How they handle their mistakes matters far more than the mistakes themselves. Own up to them. Apologize sincerely, not the "I'm sorry if you were offended" kind of apology, but a real one. Take responsibility without making excuses. People respect honesty and accountability more than perfection. In fact, recovering from a mistake with genuine grace can sometimes strengthen your reputation because it shows maturity and character. Building a reputation is a long game, maybe the longest game you'll ever play. You won't see immediate results. Most days, it might feel like nobody notices. But stay the course. Keep showing up with integrity. Keep treating people well. Keep doing excellent work. Because over time, your reputation builds momentum. It starts working for you in rooms you haven't even entered yet. People will recommend you without being asked. Opportunities will appear that you didn't seek out. Doors will open because someone told someone else, "You need to meet this person." That's the silent, powerful force of a reputation built on real substance. It doesn't need a spotlight. It doesn't need a marketing campaign. It just quietly, consistently opens doors, year after year. So ask yourself right now, what story is my reputation telling? And more importantly, is it the story I actually want to tell? Chapter 14. Lead with influence, not authority. There's a fundamental difference between being a boss and being a leader. A boss relies on authority, titles, rules, hierarchy, and when necessary, fear. A leader relies on something infinitely more powerful, influence. A leader doesn't need to demand respect because they've already earned it. People don't follow them because they have to. They follow because they genuinely want to, because they believe in where that person is going and they want to be part of that journey. That's the kind of leadership that doesn't just produce results. It transforms people. It builds loyalty that lasts through storms. It creates a legacy that outlives any job title. Think about the people who've had the greatest positive impact on your own life. Were they the ones who barked orders, micromanaged your every move, or used intimidation to keep you in line? Probably not. They were likely the ones who made you feel seen, valued, and genuinely motivated. They didn't just tell you what to do. They helped you understand why it mattered. They believed in your potential before you saw it in yourself. That's influence. It's quieter than authority. It's subtler, but it's exponentially more powerful. Here's the problem with authority alone. It only works when someone's watching. The moment the boss leaves the room, the manager stops checking, or the deadline passes, people revert to doing the minimum. Authority creates temporary compliance. Influence creates lasting commitment. When someone is truly influenced, when they've been inspired, not coerced, they give their best effort even when no one's looking. Not because they're afraid of consequences, but because they believe in the mission and the person leading it. So how do you lead with influence? It starts, as it always does, with trust. Without trust, influence doesn't exist. It's like trying to build a house without a foundation. People must believe that you have their best interests genuinely in mind, not just your own agenda. Trust is built through the accumulation of small, consistent actions over time. It's in the promises you keep. It's in how you treat people when things fall apart. It's in the honesty you offer, even when a convenient lie would be easier. When people trust you, they'll follow you through difficult times because they know you won't lead them somewhere harmful. Respect is the second pillar. And there's an important distinction here. Respect that's demanded is brittle. Respect that's earned is indestructible. True respect comes from how you carry yourself, the way you listen to others, how you value their opinions, how generously you give credit when things go right, and how honestly you accept responsibility when things go wrong. When respect flows both ways, when you give it as freely as you hope to receive it, influence grows almost effortlessly. Leading by example is perhaps the most powerful leadership tool that exists. It's also the one most people underutilize. You can give the most inspiring speech in the world, but if your actions don't match your words, nobody will follow you. If you want your team to show integrity, you must be impeccably honest yourself. If you want the people around you to be resilient, they need to watch you bounce back from setbacks with grace. Actions set the standard. Words just describe it. Empathy is another essential leadership quality. When you genuinely understand what the people around you are feeling, their fears, their frustrations, their hopes, you gain insight that allows you to guide and inspire them far more effectively. Leadership without empathy is just management. A leader who listens, who acknowledges effort, who remembers personal details, who shows genuine human care, that's someone people will walk through walls for. Not because they're obligated, but because they feel genuinely valued. One of the biggest misconceptions about leadership is that you need to have all the answers. The opposite is actually true. The strongest leaders are the ones who can say, "I don't know, but let's figure it out together." That kind of honesty and humility doesn't make you look weak. It makes you look real. It empowers the people around you to contribute, collaborate, and take ownership. When people feel like their ideas actually matter, they become invested in the outcome at a completely different level. That's influence at work, transforming passive followers into active partners. Conflict is inevitable in any leadership role, and this is exactly where influence proves its value. A leader who relies on authority might use power and pressure to force a resolution, creating resentment beneath the surface of compliance. A leader who relies on influence approaches conflict with curiosity and understanding. They listen, they find common ground, they work toward solutions that honor everyone involved. This doesn't just resolve the immediate problem, it deepens loyalty and strengthens the team. Think about the kind of leader you want to be. Not someday, right now. Whether you're guiding a team at work, raising kids, supporting a friend through a hard time, or simply trying to be a better partner, you're already leading. The question is how? Are you trying to control outcomes, or are you inspiring the people around you? Are you building trust or relying on pressure? When you choose influence over authority, something beautiful happens, a ripple effect. People you've inspired go on to inspire others. Your leadership becomes a legacy, one that lives on through the choices and actions of everyone you've touched. Authority fades the instant the title is gone. Influence lasts forever. So lead with heart, lead with vision, lead with genuine care. Be the kind of leader people choose to follow, not the kind they feel forced to obey, because that's what transforms not just teams, but lives. Chapter 15. Become the person everyone wants to know. Imagine this. You walk into a room and something subtle but unmistakable shifts. Conversations pause. People glance in your direction. There's this quiet gravitational pull. Not because you're the flashiest person there, not because you made some grand entrance, but because there's something about your energy that draws people in. What is that quality? Where does it come from? Can you actually cultivate it? Yes, absolutely yes. Becoming the person everyone wants to know isn't about perfecting some unattainable image. It's not reserved for celebrities, influencers, or the genetically blessed. It's the result of specific, deliberate choices and habits. The things you do every day, the energy you carry, and the way you consistently show up for others. Everything we've covered in this journey, confidence, understanding, communication, listening, authenticity, calmness, reputation, it all converges here. This is the summit. Here's the core secret, and it's deceptively simple. People are drawn to those who make them feel good about themselves. Not in a flattering, sycophantic way, but in a genuine, I feel more alive after talking to you way. It's not about being the most interesting person in the room. It's about being the most genuinely interested. When you give someone the gift of your full, undivided attention, when you listen deeply and show real care about their world, they feel valued. And people never forget someone who made them feel valued. Never. Have you ever met someone and walked away feeling somehow lighter, more energized, more hopeful about yourself? That's the magnetic quality I'm describing. And they probably weren't trying to be impressive. They were just genuinely present with you. To cultivate this magnetism, start with your energy. This is the invisible force that precedes you everywhere. People sense your vibe before you ever open your mouth. If you're carrying bitterness, anxiety, or chronic negativity, others will feel it, regardless of what words you choose. But if you walk in with genuine warmth, grounded confidence, and a sense of calm purpose, people gravitate toward you almost instinctively. This doesn't mean you have to be relentlessly upbeat or fake happy. It means being centered, at peace with yourself, present in the moment. People are starving for that kind of steady, warm energy. Next, focus on adding value everywhere you go. The person everyone wants to know isn't the one who takes, it's the one who gives. This might look like offering genuine encouragement, sharing useful insights, connecting people who could help each other, or simply bringing a sense of positivity to a gathering. When others start to associate you with solutions rather than complaints, with warmth rather than drama, they'll seek you out. You become someone people think of when something good happens, when an opportunity opens up, when they need someone they can trust. Confidence without arrogance is magnetic in a way few other qualities are. True confidence is steady and humble. It doesn't need to dominate conversations or constantly prove itself through one-upmanship. Arrogance repels because it feels competitive, like every interaction is a contest. But genuine confidence invites trust. It says, I know who I am, and I don't need to diminish you to feel good about myself. When you carry that energy, you create an environment where everyone around you feels safe to be authentic too. That's rare, and that's precisely why it's so attractive. Humor helps too, not stand-up comedy, just a genuine lightness of spirit. The ability to laugh easily, especially at yourself, signals strength and humility simultaneously. People love being around someone who can find the humor in difficult moments, who can make a tense room feel a little lighter, who doesn't take themselves so seriously that every conversation feels like a TED Talk. A genuine laugh can dissolve walls faster than hours of serious conversation. Reliability, as we've discussed, might be the least glamorous quality on this list, but it's one of the most powerful. Be the person who follows through, who shows up when they say they will, who keeps their promises, big and small. In a world where flakiness has become almost normalized, genuine reliability makes you stand out like a beacon. People learn they can count on you, and that trust becomes a magnet for deeper relationships and bigger opportunities. And through all of this, never lose your authenticity. You cannot be the person everyone wants to know if you're performing a character. Embrace your real self, strengths, quirks, imperfections and all. The more genuinely you show up, the more you give others permission to do the same. Authenticity is rare, and rare things are always magnetic. Keep growing too. Read, learn, challenge yourself. Seek new experiences. People are naturally drawn to those who are continuously evolving because they represent possibility. They remind us that growth is always available, that life doesn't have to stay the same, that there's always more to discover. When you invest in your own development, you don't just improve yourself, you elevate every interaction you have. Now imagine the ripple effect of becoming this kind of person. New friendships form naturally. Career doors open without you having to knock. People introduce you to their circles because they know you'll bring value and warmth. Your network expands organically. Your influence grows quietly. Your presence becomes a genuinely positive force wherever you go. Being the person everyone wants to know isn't about impressing others. It's about impacting them. It's about leaving people better than you found them every single time. Whether through a kind word, a helpful act, a genuine compliment, or simply by being a calm, steady, uplifting presence in a world that desperately needs more of that. So step into every room with the intention to give, to listen, to inspire. Be the calm center in chaos. Be the reliable friend in a world of uncertainty. Be the authentic voice in an ocean of noise. When you live this way consistently, you won't need to chase connection, influence, or opportunity. Because here's the final truth about becoming the person everyone wants to know. It's not actually about everyone wanting to know you. It's about the quality of the connections you build, not the quantity. It's about the depth, not the breadth. You don't need 1,000 followers to feel fulfilled. You need a handful of real, honest, deep relationships with people who see you, truly see you, and love what they see. The irony is that when you stop trying to be impressive and start being impactful, when you stop performing and start connecting, when you release the need to be liked by everyone and focus on being real with the people who matter, that's when the magic happens. That's when you become irresistible. Not because you're perfect, but because you're present. Not because you're polished, but because you're genuine. Not because you have all the answers, but because you care enough to keep asking the right questions. They'll come to you, naturally, abundantly, and exactly when you need them most. Conclusion. Take a deep breath. You've just traveled through a complete blueprint for becoming more charismatic, more confident, and more genuinely influential. And if you've stayed with me this far, truly stayed, not just listened, but absorbed, something inside you has already started to shift. By now, you understand that social intelligence isn't some rare, mystical gift reserved for the naturally charming or the fortunate few. It's a skill set, a collection of habits, mindsets, and intentional practices that anyone can develop, including you, especially you. The tools are in your hands now. What you choose to do with them will shape not only how others experience you, but how you experience yourself. Think back to where this journey began. We started with the foundation, building unshakable self-confidence, that inner core of belief that everything else rests upon. Without it, every interaction feels shaky, like you're performing instead of being present. But when you trust yourself, when you carry that quiet inner certainty, people feel it instantly. They respond to it. They're drawn to it. Then we explore the art of truly understanding others, reading their words, their emotions, their body language like an open book. Not to manipulate or exploit, but to connect, to make people feel seen and understood in a world where most people feel invisible. And we discovered that when someone feels genuinely understood, trust forms almost instantly. From there, we built outward. First impressions, communication, listening, body language, rapport, each skill adding another layer to your social intelligence. We tackled the harder stuff too, handling criticism and conflict with grace, influencing without manipulation, networking with authenticity instead of agendas. We explored the deep truths about reputation, calm under pressure, and the transformative power of being real in a world full of performance. And we arrived at leadership, not the kind that comes from a title on a business card, but the kind that flows from genuine trust, earned respect, and authentic care for others. The kind that inspires people to become better versions of themselves. The kind that creates ripples far beyond what you can see. But here's what I want you to remember more than anything else. This isn't the end. It's the very beginning. Social intelligence isn't something you master once and check off a list. It's a living practice, something you refine with every conversation, every challenge, every human interaction for the rest of your life. You don't have to be perfect. You will stumble. You'll misread someone. You'll say the wrong thing at the wrong time. You'll fall back into old patterns on days when you're tired or stressed. That's not failure. That's being human. Every misstep is data. Every mistake is a lesson. The only real failure is stopping. Remember, confidence is built through action, not waiting. Connection is built through curiosity, not performance. And influence is built through consistency, not tricks. Imagine the life that opens up when you truly put these principles into practice. You walk into rooms feeling genuinely at ease. Not because the fear is gone, but because you know you can handle whatever comes. People lean in when you speak because your words carry authentic weight. You navigate conflicts with grace. You build relationships that sustain and nourish you. And most importantly, you live in alignment with who you actually are, No masks, no games, just a powerful, genuine, evolving version of you. The world is hungry for people like that. People who lead with heart. People who listen more than they speak. People who bring warmth instead of noise, substance instead of spectacle. You have everything it takes to be that person. Every single quality we've discussed is already inside you, waiting to be developed and expressed. So go out there and practice. Build your confidence one brave action at a time. Read the room. Connect deeply. Lead with empathy and integrity. Day by day, conversation by conversation, you'll become the kind of person who doesn't just move through the world. You transform it. And as you do, something beautiful will happen. You won't just change how people see you. You'll change how they see themselves. Because your confidence will give them permission to be confident. Your authenticity will inspire them to be authentic. Your kindness will remind them that kindness matters. That is the true, lasting, beautiful power of social intelligence. The power to change not just your own life, but every life you touch along the way. And it's yours to claim. Starting right now. Starting today. Starting with your very next interaction. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And your single step can be as simple as making eye contact with someone tomorrow and holding it just a second longer than usual, or asking someone how they're really doing and actually waiting for the answer, or standing a little taller when you walk into work, or pausing before you react to something that frustrates you. These aren't dramatic changes. They're quiet revolutions, small shifts in how you show up that compound over time into something truly extraordinary. 6 months from now, a year from now, the people in your life will notice something different about you. They might not be able to name it, but they'll feel it. They'll say things like, "There's something different about you lately, something good," and you'll know exactly what changed. Not your circumstances, not your luck, not your personality, your awareness, your intentionality, your commitment to showing up, really showing up, in every interaction, every relationship, every room you walk into. That's the transformation I'm talking about. Not becoming someone new, but finally, fully, becoming who you've always been underneath the doubt and the fear and the hesitation. You've been given a complete roadmap. Every chapter, every principle, every question asked along the way, they're all pieces of the same puzzle. A puzzle that, when assembled, reveals the most confident, connected, and influential version of you. The version that was always there, waiting for permission to step forward. This is your permission. Step forward. The world is waiting to meet the real you. What are you waiting for?